Welcome to Employment Law This Week. I'm George Whipple. British Airways and T-Mobile, they are just a few of the companies affected by the hundreds of data breaches that have occurred this year. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and every new breach is a reminder that cybersecurity cannot be taken for granted. And while the media often focuses on foreign attackers, data increasingly shows that the bigger threat comes from inside your company. We spoke to Brian Spang and Brian Cesaratto for more.
Most data breaches are caused by insiders as opposed to outside attackers. By insiders, I mean people who already have access to your system. That includes current employees, former employees who retain access rights to your system, and potentially third-party contractors or vendors who you have granted access to your system.
The data is increasingly showing that insider threat to trade secrets is a growing vulnerability. And that's both because insider threat presents two types of risk. Risk of an intentional, malicious insider causing damage or exfiltrating trade secrets, or unintentional insider threat when somebody, for example, is not trained properly and clicks on a phishing email or other social engineering attack, and that leaves the company vulnerable. So what companies should do is they should consider the type of threats they face using available data, and then determine what their existing controls are and how those can be improved given the particular threats that they face and the particular data or technologies that they wish to protect.
These attacks have emerged as a critical threat to trade secret security. In 2016, Congress stepped in and tried to make it easier for companies to protect their trade secrets by taking their claims straight to federal court with the Defend Trade Secrets Act.
The most significant change brought about by the Defend Trade Secrets Act is the establishment of federal subject matter jurisdiction for trade secrets claims. Plaintiffs now may go directly to federal court without worrying about establishing diversity jurisdiction or relying on a different federal statute to establish subject matter jurisdiction in federal court.
In the past, companies have sometimes relied on non-compete agreements to help prevent insider threats or provide an avenue for relief. But as Brian Spang tells us, the current regulatory trend is running against these agreements.
Regulation in this area is evolving toward restricting the use of non-compete agreements and in favoring the rights of individuals. For example, Massachusetts recently passed a law with the intention to limit the use of non-compete agreements in certain situations. Illinois passed a law recently prohibiting the use of non-compete agreements with regard to lower wage workers. Across the country, the general trend seems to be towards the limitation of enforcement of non-compete agreements.
In this uncertain climate, ultimately the best offense is still a good defense. And that means stopping the insider threats before they materialize. The most important cybersecurity tools for employers are strong policies that shore up vulnerabilities and a firm plan for a potential incident or breach.
The most important step that an employer can take to prepare for a security incident is to have in place a security incident response plan and to train employees and managers in the implementation of the plan. So you want to have a written plan in place that addresses certainly who in the company is responsible during a crisis to administer to the company's response. Typically that includes the information technology department, the personnel department, the legal department, and many times if there's a marketing component, usually the marketing people to address any external communications that may be needed. Planning ahead of time is important because that way when the time comes and there is a crisis, the company's not reactive. It's not attempting to address the issue under stress where there's no plan in place.
That's it for Employment Law This Week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.